Hello, people. I'm Brianna, and this is gonna be a story full of tears, fear, anger, and hair. And I really hope that by telling it, I will not only be able to get it off my chest, but what's more important, I might inspire other people to live their lives to the fullest. Everything started around a year ago. It was my last couple of months of high school, and it was full of stress. You know, around studying, upcoming finals, an unclear situation with colleges, and so on and so forth. Apart from that, my boyfriend had recently broken up with me because of my weight, as he put it. I cried over him for a week or so. It was so stressful that I'd even put myself on a strict diet and was always feeling lightheaded. I was determined to lose a few pounds to look perfect at prom so that this selfish jerk would see how beautiful and happy I was without him. But at some point I noticed that along with the extra pounds, I was also losing my hair. I had been losing some before, especially while brushing it. And this time, there were not like 10 single tiny hairs left on the hairbrush, but like a bunch of them. At first, I didn't give it much thought and decided that it was happening because of my new shampoo, sort of an allergic reaction or something. So I simply stopped using it and began my own self-treatment, according to some recipes from beauty bloggers. You know, my hair actually started looking better. It was super shiny and healthy, but it still kept falling out. Then I started researching on the internet for why I would be losing my hair and how I could stop it. And guess what I found is the first reason? Stress and malnutrition. This can't be true, I thought. Just in terms of my workload and study schedule, there was no way to alleviate my stress. Not even mentioning other things that stressed me out. If this was the case, I would be destined to remain fat and hairless, right? There had to be another way to solve my problem, I thought. And when I felt a whole dime-sized bald spot appear on the back of my head, I totally panicked and decided to ask my parents for help. They took me to a nutritionist at first, but when he heard about me losing hair and actually saw a clump in my hand, he said we better visit a trichologist first. That's a hair specialist in case you don't know. This recommendation made me a little worried. Eventually, it turned out that I had something called alopecia, an incurable disease with an unpredictable course. It meant that I was about to lose all the hair on my head, and nobody could promise that it would grow back again. This news literally killed me. All the way home from the hospital, I stayed silent. I was in shock. For the first couple of days, I was in denial, I suppose. I just couldn't believe that this was truly happening with me. I cried all the time, asking the universe, why me? Of course, I was pitying myself. But once it seemed that I had no more tears to cry, I got so angry. I thought about how it can't be enough for me to have lost my boyfriend and to have not lost a single pound, to not have straight A's, and to not have gotten into any college because I still haven't gotten a single answer from any of them. But now it turned out that I was going to spend the rest of my life hairless. You know, bald. It was awful. I didn't want to see or talk to anybody. I felt so bad that I literally got sick and stayed at home for 2 weeks. I told my friends that I had mono so they wouldn't visit me. I just didn't want to let them know what was actually happening. And I had even forbidden my parents to talk to anybody about me and my problem. Still, no one was able to understand me, and they'd probably think that I was a freak, I thought. Every night I prayed for my hair to come back to me. I even promised to never change its color or curl it or even cut it. No extra involvement ever. But that bargain didn't work. The time to go back to school came, along with my new daily routine of visiting doctors and applying various creams and foams and everything. My parents even took me to try acupuncture, but nothing really helped. It just kept falling out, but probably at a slightly lesser rate. I tried to hide my problem in any way possible, like wearing baseball caps, handkerchiefs, or small hats. At first, everybody thought I was this new type of fashionista. But then even my friends got tired of my constant headwear. I understood how pathetic my attempts were to hide my problem, when once my friend Elisa had jokingly touched my hair, and even though my head was covered with a hat, I could feel how I'd lost another clump. Luckily, nobody noticed it except me, but at that point, I had decided to take some revolutionary measures. What if I lost all my hair at one time right in front of everybody at school? What if it happened during prom? There was only one possible way to avoid all this: shave everything on my own. When I did this, I felt no relief, but got really depressed instead. I hope you guys, especially girls, will never see yourself totally bald. It's impossible to get used to that view. Whoever said that beauty comes from the inside has never seen a bald 17-year-old, I bet. I look like Frankenstein's fiance. I began crying so hard that I didn't even notice that my dad had come into the room. He tried to make a joke saying that I should be happy that at least I hadn't lost my eyebrows and eyelashes. I raised my head to look at him and say how not funny that was, but his appearance actually made me laugh. It turns out that he had shaved his head too when he heard that I was about to do it with mine. He said he'd always wanted to change his look. It was really sweet of him. And later that day, my mom bought me the most expensive and natural-looking wig, which really looked like my natural hair. It may have even looked better. What would I do without my amazing parents? By the way, I couldn't stop thinking about the best way to tell the truth to my friends once they found everything out. It was a couple of weekends before prom when together we decided to take a ride to the beach. It was supposed to be something like a final trip before exams, you know. I had put on a baseball cap so that it would help keep my wig in place. It was really hot that day and my head was sweating pretty badly. Everybody was laughing and chilling and swimming, but I couldn't. I had an obvious reason, right? But nobody knew what it was. I guess I was doing a pretty crappy job of pretending that I was great, even without getting in the water. Then my friends were arguing about who was able to do the best cartwheel ever. Everybody started to roll around in the sand, and it was so much fun that I had totally forgotten about my wig for a tiny second, but that tiny second was long enough for it to fall off my head. Everybody at the beach seemed to freeze for a second. They were devastatingly silent and began to exchange looks. I thought my life was over, and I was trying to decide whether to cry or just run away when somebody suddenly clapped a hat on my head. Then I heard the voice of one of my friends, Nick, who said that at least now I was able to go swimming. And then 2 more guys from our group picked me up, and everybody just rushed into the water. Honestly, I had no idea what was going on. Only once we finished swimming and playing water games was I able to explain everything to my friends. It turns out that they had already guessed I was wearing a wig before. They just decided not to ask, but to give me some time to tell them everything on my own. You know, there are no words to describe how amazed I was by my friends. I am really grateful for having that many supportive, understanding, and just great people around me. Of course, I would be lying if I told you that I'd gotten over my health condition. I still hope for modern medicine to make some kind of progress and find a cure for me and other people like me. And I still hide my bald scalp under a wig. However, I'm working on myself now, trying to find something good in anything bad. As my friends say, I can buy a bunch of wigs and change my look every day instead. And my prom went well, by the way, because I had no more secrets that I was keeping from my friends. Did you like my story? Feel free to share it with your friends, and don't forget to click on the subscribe button.